Yeah,
Hmm.
right. All right, all right. We're live, so we are live on Facebook and YouTube right now. So listen, welcome to another Facebook Live podcast. It's an honor to
Woo.
have everybody here. As you see
Woo.
on the screen, who my two special guests are, and they're also friends of mine, and it's an honor to call these fine fast racers my
Em-
friends. So yeah,
Emphasis on the
welcome, gentlemen.
special.
Yeah, this is something special. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Because me and Andrew, we chat quite often, and yeah, it's always jokes and fun, man, and that's what it's about, right? Cutting up with your friends and talking shit like we like to do. So
Right on.
Right.
yeah, absolutely. So welcome, gentlemen. We'll just start off and let's introduce yourself.
You can go first, Andrew.
Age before beauty on it.
Oh, thank you,
Wow,
brother.
yeah.
M- my name is Christian Maronian. I'm a racer out here in the West Coast. I've been on this podcast before, but not in as official of a capacity now. Chris, great job. I think you have an awesome little studio now. I remember the first time we did it, right? It was a little bit more, you know, well,
Industrial.
homegrown, right?
It
Right,
is
right.
industrial.
Yeah, yeah. And
Industrial
now
it
it's
was.
looking pretty polished, man. So that's awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Uh,
Thank you.
but yeah, club racer out here, typically racing the smaller classes, despite my big body. And yeah, so I've been racing the R3 for a little while, and I did Moto America Junior Cup last year. Now this year I'm on a twin, Yamaha FZ07, and just last weekend I competed in the Moto America Twins Cup. Right on.
Woo.
Very nice, very nice. And Andrew, you're on deck.
Well, you guys know me. I'm Andrew. I also race in AFM with Chris. We have been for a few years. I was racing the 400 for a couple of years, and then I moved back up to my ZX6 I've had for a while. And then this past round was my first Moto America Super Sport round, but obviously that was not the way we wanted things to go. But we'll talk more about that later, I'm sure.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Actually have a couple comments already, and both you know this gentleman very well, and he's a friend of mine too, Steve. Steve says, "Hi, boys."
Oh, hi,
Steve,
Steve.
yeah, Steve Manville. Yeah, yeah. And our buddy from CFE, Mark Sherman. Big shout out to all the CFE boys. He says hi from
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
yeah, yeah. So my buddy Rick Glover actually figured this out. So when people comment, some names don't pop up. It's because you actually got to go to the Chris Simcoe is live link, and then if you exit out of here, everybody that's watching and comment does that, then your name will pop up, so we can everybody can see you.
Oh,
I can see it
interesting.
from my phone because I'm watching it live from my phone too. So
Yeah, it only says Facebook user for me.
me
So
too,
I
right?
see the comment.
Yeah,
That's fine, but
me too. Right now, it's because they're on a different link. If they go out and go to the Chris Simcoe is live link, then when they comment, their names will pop up too as well.
well, awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and they can see your comment. So when you guys comment, they'll be able to see what you guys are comment. Like Chris just said, hi Steve. So yeah, I
Oh
like this
yeah,
format, man.
sweet.
This whole StreamYard has been simply amazing. The future of podcasting for sure. But anyway, gentlemen, yes, I watched the Moto America. Me and Chris was talking about it a little bit before. We was waiting on Andrew to go live, but
Well,
yeah,
can't rush. You can't rush perfection.
absolutely
Sorry.
not. I'm not disagreeing. So yeah, uh, yeah, I watched Chris in the Twins Cup class, man, and what an amazing job, man. I said it before. So tell us how your weekend went, man, for you and your thoughts.
Uh, well, we were talking a little bit before we went live, and I was just gonna say again, this is my second time in Moto America. This time in Twins Cup. The first time was Junior Cup. The first time for me, I remember I was super nervous, uh, uh, just super nervous. Andrew, we can hear you chomping. And yeah, well, the second time around, I was better equipped. More spares. You learn things. You know people. You've already done it before, right? Nothing is as special as your first time. I'll tell you that.
No.
So anyway, yeah, the second time around, I went there, um, and again, I just wanted to qualify, get in, and just have fun. If it's last place, it's last place. I mean, hey man, it's pro racing, right? But
Yep.
I did a lot better than I basically thought I would, and so now my aspirations, as a result of that, good success for me, have just elevated future aspirations. So really awesome. I ended up in the points. I think I beat like 4 or 5 finishers in the first race. Second race, unfortunately, I had a crash. It is what it is.
Hey, but he made the highlight reel, so it was all worth
yeah,
it.
I
It was
made the
mega.
highlight reel.
Yes,
so
you did. I
Totally
was
worth
like,
it.
woo, look at him.
Yeah. But the bike had like no damage. I just got back on, and I was like, you know what? Unlike club racing, you can join back in the race, right? So,
Right.
or at least with AFM, you can't join back if you crash. So
Yeah,
join
I
back,
don't think,
finish it, and right on.
So
don't
good,
think
man. You far exceeded your expectations going into the weekend.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah,
Hell
that's dude. That's awesome. And this is another comment from Steve to you guys. What you guys
thanks,
did.
Steve.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Steve.
absolutely. Steve is an awesome person.
Yeah,
he's
Steve is so genuine and kind. Yeah, I like Steve.
he is. Jules just text me. We are live, brother. Jump in.
Get him on here.
Yeah.
He's
Jump
probably like
in,
at the
bro.
gym or something.
Dance, dude. You know what, Jules, he can dance, man. That's one of his passions. I'm sure you guys seen him on his TikTok. Yeah, he can dance. I can't dance. I'm not a dancer, so yeah.
Well,
But
you got plenty of company. I don't think we're either amazing dancers.
right, but it's
I mean, I had my time in the discotheques, but I'd rather not watch.
yeah. I hear you on that. Yeah. So Andrew, man, how did your weekend go? Sorry, I was actually reading this message from Jules, so I'm gonna send him an invite.
Well,
So
sometimes racing is pain, I guess.
it is. It very much is.
Yeah. So it was pretty rough. I missed practice and qualifying. I never even really got to ride my own bike, which was a big letdown. Hindsight's 2020. We should just gone to that backup bike right away, but I really didn't want to ride that other bike if I could avoid it. But basically, what happened was we did our last AFM round only, I think, like it was at most like a couple weeks before the Moto America round, and then that day at AFM, like I was already starting to get kind of lower trap speeds than normal, and then in the last race, yeah, the motor just kind of started to let go, and it wasn't sounding good, and like Mike Canfield had come over to me, a couple other people told me,
I called it.
Yeah, your bike doesn't sound good.
He said Jules is at the gym. I bet. I was like,
dude, looking swole.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Anything for fat gelatinous ass.
Oh my
Amen,
god.
brother.
I know that's
What's
right.
good, guys? How y'all doing?
Oh,
Good, man. Good. We're just chatting it up about their weekend in Moto America.
Right. So continue on. I'm going to listen. I'm going to mute myself.
That perfectly fine. So Andrew, your first bike, what happened to the motor? Did something happen with that?
Right. So I knew it was definitely not a good sign when Mike Canfield comes over to say my bike doesn't sound good. I was kind of like, oh, that's not good. So the following week, after I was done working, because sadly with, a lot of racers, unless you have a rich family or you're just so high at the top level where you're actually getting paid, a lot of us have day jobs, right? So I was teaching some riding classes this week. And then that Saturday, took the bike to my friend Johnny, and we started to take it apart, and then it was all bad. Like all the spark plugs, one was super loose, the others were crazy over torqued. And that's another discussion for another day, but we could tell that I wasn't gonna be able to make the race. There's like really no way we're gonna be able to like fully repair whatever had happened with the motor in like 1 week's time. So I was kind of looking for some backup options, and another guy in AFM that raced the 600 class, but he was getting out of it. He offered to let me borrow his motor. The only kind of problem was with his motor setup, I needed to run his electronics and his tune. And I mean, I spent a lot of time, like, 5 hours each day, Monday, Tuesday, driving back and forth to Gilroy to like get the motor swap done and the electronic swap and swap his dash on and blah blah blah, his airbox, all that stuff. And the bike seemed like it was running, so we took it. But then once I got out on track, the bike just it would accelerate and then it would just kind of like lose power. It didn't have anything on the top end. We tried changing a lot of things. We thought it was a fuel pump, changed to a different fuel pump, tried changing some of the electronics, and like the bike sounded way better, it was running way better. But then in qualifying again, we got out there and heartbreak. It just wasn't making power. So it was just a rolling roadblock out there with like a broken bike. So we just parked it after one lap. And then got to the backup bike and that was a lot better, but that bike was a lot more stock than the way my bike's set up. And I was pretty like happy with myself that on like a fresh track surface, cold morning, bike I'd never ridden before, suspension way too soft for me, no quick shifter, stock throttle, just like all this stuff I'm not like used to. I was still able to get pretty fast times in, and if we had like another like 10 minutes, maybe a little bit better setup, and I was able to get more comfortable with the bike, I think we could have actually put some like decently fast times in. But 20 minutes just wasn't enough for me to like just relearn everything and ride that bike. And then couldn't even make the race anyways because there's a rule in the book apparently that if you don't put times in practice, except for Superbike, then you're not even supposed to start. So, and Moto America that weekend was acting pretty strict. They were really strict with the fines for speeding. They were really strict with the cutoff. So they just weren't like really feeling like bending the rules that week, I guess, which ultimately turned out fine. After seeing like my buddy Sahar and a couple other people in the class I know, they really struggled with that extended 38 lap race and the pit stops, and you got guys like 3, 4, 8 laps down and a bunch of crashes and mechanical failures. And so after just seeing all of that, I at first I was pretty sad, but then I kind of felt okay that I didn't do that race. And there's always other rounds, and like I think Chris might have already told you that we're going to go to Texas and do the Circuit of the Americas round, so that'll be as you would say, it would be mega.
Absolutely. That is mega too, for sure, man. So yes, it sounds like he had a tough weekend. And, let's just say that bike did run with the motor swap and his electronics and all that. So now it's a completely different bike, right? Even it's your chassis and all that, it still make it completely feel different, right?
So the chassis is the same, like they're both ZX6s, but the suspension and like the geometry is different.
Yeah, that's
like
what I'm saying.
Even small, even smaller things like different steering damper, different throttle,
and you're chasing the
brakes.
whole setup the whole weekend instead of your setup on your bike, right? So
not even the whole weekend, just in.
Like, right.
I think I came into the hot pit twice. Once after like I did like a few laps just to kind of like sighting laps, figure out the track for a few laps. Came in, they tried to like stiffen it up, and I don't know, whatever magic JP8 suspension does. And also big shout out to Catalyst Reaction, like Nikki Williams and her husband were there.
Big shout out to Nikki. Yes.
Yeah, they were out there. Like they definitely didn't have to.
Awesome.
I don't pay them. They have like no obligation to help me, but they can't. But they they really, I think, care about helping their AFM racers, and they were out at the hot pit trying to do whatever they could. So
which is awesome. Yeah. And that just shows everybody the love of our sport and how everybody helps each other out, right? Especially when they're in a bind, man. That's mega, as I say, right? It's awesome, especially when you have people that do that. And this comment right here is from Steve. So you guys need to send him an autograph, but not on a blank check, just an autograph. I wouldn't do the check.
Well, for me, it would probably bounce. So.
Right.
Sure, I'll send whatever he wants.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Yeah. And this comment right here is from my man Mark Sherman from CFE to Jules. I pick things up and put them down because he's been at the gym.
Hey,
that's
Diane.
awesome.
Who's Diane?
Tibro, man. She's a queen. Shepherd, Diane Shepherd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Andrew's attitude fixing all the bike troubles. Yeah, Andrew's a mature rider for sure.
Well,
this,
let's not go too far there.
so listen, fellas, you guys obviously tell me how you two met. Like where did y'all's friendship start and all that good stuff?
I'll let Chris tell that story.
Sure. Well, first we just met through the internet. We used to be part of this Facebook group called Bay Area Riders Group.
Right.
And we used to just kind of like troll around in there. And I was pretty new to riding at the time. I had maybe only been riding motorcycles for about 6 months. I was just riding around on the street. And I kind of wanted to maybe get into track days, so I was just kind of starting to get into it.
I think I was only novice on the 250 then.
Yes. But when we first met in person, that was his first time. That was his first year as an expert. So a couple months after we met on the internet, I went to my first track day, which was a February track day. I remember this. It was late February by Fun Track Days. They had like a really early season opener kind of a deal. And I went there and I met him and I was like, oh, hey, you're the guy from the internet. And we just started talking and here we are. I mean, how many years ago was that, man? That was 2018. That was February 2018 was when we met in person. So we're over 5 years now. It's been a wild ride, I'll tell you.
Hey, man, that's awesome. And obviously you guys race each other many times on the track, right?
That's cute. When's the anniversary?
The anniversary passed, so in about maybe 6 months we'll have another one. Yeah.
If you would like to donate a complete 6R motor for the anniversary, my address.
Yeah, man, one of those like registries.
Yeah, right. I actually just sold my ZX6R. Well, it's been probably about 2 months ago. So otherwise, I would donate the motor to you, but I don't have it anymore. I don't have it, so. Yeah, I've sold it to buy RC51.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which has been one of my dream bikes. Everybody has their own. I have many, right? Let's just be honest, just like you guys do. But the RC has always been one of my favorite bikes. Just the heritage behind it. HRC had the whole hand in actually building that motorcycle. It's the only time in history Honda's come out and ditched their V4 and built a purpose V twin just to beat another manufacturer at their own game, which they did successfully. Suzuka 8 out. I mean, the list goes on for the small history that bike actually raced. They've actually did Isle of Man TT, Joey Dunlop's last TT race. I mean, it was on the RC51. So so it's got a lot of heritage behind that bike. And actually, when you take off the side fairness, fellas, the cases are stamped HRC.
Oh,
I'll send you to a pic. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
I love twins. I love twins.
I've seen a couple of them. Yeah. Twins bikes are fun to ride.
They're fun when they're fast. They're not fun when they're slow.
No, but I love a twin, man. Twins are a lot of fun to ride.
Well, I guess if it's like a road glide or something, not so exciting.
Well, those are like Regal Hogs.
It depends if you're racing in the bagger class, right? I'm sure them things right there haul ass.
Oh
well, yeah. I mean, money answers all things, right? Nothing a 120 grand bagger can do.
Well, I mean, that's unfortunately, that's the name of our sport too, right? It's just so expensive to do.
Dude,
actually,
I'd probably sell my left nut for an RC8.
I mean, dude, RC8 would be sick to have for sure. But there ain't no class in Moto America. You can race an RC8, can you?
Nope. No, nobody races an RC8.
I don't even know if it's eligible, to be honest with you.
It's like a bike of its own, man. Like there's nothing like it. The KTM?
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
Nothing really like it. Fully customizable. Everything. Factory. Everything's fully customizable.
I don't think it's homologated because it's more than 1,000 cc's, right?
No, it's 799 cc's.
The new RC8.
Oh,
the RC8C. No. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What am I thinking of?
I seen one in person.
They made another RC
in Texas. No, they did. Yes, Chris, you're very right. Yes, they did. Which, man, I wish KTM would make another crotch rocket street bike, because that RC8 was a good bike, man. Y'all like that?
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. I saw a couple on the street when they came out, and then just no one. I don't know. I guess they weren't selling. I know it didn't have traction control, so probably everyone just died when they rode them.
Nice, right?
I mean,
He said,
that's all I can think of. If you've got like 180, 200 horsepower bike with no traction control and the way most people ride, not going to be good.
Right.
yeah, no, it's not.
That's
This is
funny.
from Rick Hintz. What's happening, Rick?
Oh my God, crazy Rick.
Yeah, Rick's cool, man. Big shout out to him. He does. He takes photographers. If everybody that's watching and listening don't know, he's out of Florida, and he goes to the track a lot. And yeah,
Rick's been trying to antagonize me this week. So.
Oh, has he? Good job, Rick. Good job. He hadn't succeeded, has he?
I'll give him like a 10% effectiveness. But
Rick,
yeah, he's pretty mild compared to most.
you gotta step
it's
your
hard.
game up.
It's hard to take him seriously with the caps lock. So, I don't know.
That's awesome.
How old is Rick? I don't think I've known anyone under the age of 90 that's got the caps lock.
I'm dead.
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure how old he is, but that's hilarious. Good times. So, gentlemen, when's is y'all's next race? You guys making the next Moto America round, or
not Brainerd? As cool as that would be, we were thinking Circuit of the Americas, just because that's such like a high level legit track.
yes, it is.
I've never been there in real life, and I've only heard good things about it. I've been to the area, I've been to Texas, but never to the track. Actually, I don't even think the track existed when I went to last time I was there. I was probably like a kid. So, and do you know when that track even was built? It was like,
I think it was 2013.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was relatively recently.
Yeah.
So,
Chris, have you ever been there?
No, dude, I've never. I don't think I've ever gone to any track outside of the state of California. I mean, we have a lot of tracks here, right? So you can get your fill.
You do. Yeah,
well,
that's true.
Well, I went to the Mexico track.
Oh yeah. Well, I haven't ridden that one. He rode it. Same thing with Coda. Like when we go to Coda, there's a good chance I'll just go to hang out. I just got a new race van, so
nice.
We're probably gonna. Yeah. It's all like graphicked out and everything. But
that's awesome. You have to see
the
me
idea
a pic
is
of
that
that.
like we do a road trip. Oh, yeah,
I think that would be awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So I've been to Circuits of America a bunch of times for the MotoGP race. I've never ridden it, but I do have friends that ride it. And yeah, it's magical, of course, right? And listen, it's just like Laguna. You don't realize, the viewers watching on TV don't realize how steep, the corkscrew is all the way down to 11. Same thing for turn 1 at Coda. I mean, when you're standing there in the pit and you're looking up, it's like, boom, up. You're like, holy, yeah, it's
dude. When I worked turn 2 for MotoGP, seeing the little hairpin on turn 1 and coming straight down like a perfect curve to turn 2, I was like, man, if there was snow in this place, it would be the greatest thing to like do a snowboard or like something like that, because that thing was steep, and then Pecco washed out at the end of that turn on my zone. It was kind of scary, man.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. Especially standing on the other side of the fence where you are, Jules, right? You have the best seat in the house, because he goes, if people don't know, which I'm sure a lot of people do, Jules actually marshals at a lot of these races. So without people like him doing that, our friends right here on the screen with us, Steve. I was reading his comment. Chris and Andrew wouldn't be able to do what they do, right? So
right.
Yeah, congratulations and big shout out to Jules, for real.
Pit race is awesome.
I love doing it.
I haven't really heard much about that track. I guess that's like Pittsburgh Race Complex or something like that.
I heard that's another really good venue. I've never been to that one either myself. I'm actually going to New Jersey at the end of the year, me and Jules, for the Moto America race. Hopefully you two fellows will be there. I'm actually going to be walking around doing some videos, but I'm going to be, my plan is helping Batty out in the Junior Cup. So
okay.
I'm hoping I'm going to be able to work with him on his team.
Me and Chris are going to be wrench whores. Like, we're just going to offer our services to everybody.
So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Do you need a wrench?
sure you'll be able to.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
God.
awesome. That's awesome.
We're gonna sell ourselves to these men.
Amen,
Free
brother.
Free labor. But yeah, so Texas, what is your goals, Chris? Going to Texas now that your last round, I mean, you did good, man. All your expectations, you far exceeded them. You know, you had the most fun, which is the most important thing, because if you went there and you didn't have fun, you wouldn't want to go back, right? So
you know, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because I straight up was not having a good time. Like, especially Thursday, Friday. I mean, yeah, you could ask Chris. Like, I was probably
he was fuming entering the weekend because it was catastrophe. It was entered in catastrophe. It was like building the motorcycle like as you're there. Like that's a fucking
horrible.
nightmare, dude. I don't know if I can cuss on this thing, but it's a nightmare.
Yeah, you can.
I had a lot of nightmare too this year, but thank God I had months to resolve that for my FCO7. You know, it's not easy racing, dude. It's like it costs a shit ton of your money. I don't make any money with this, right? I just spend money. But I do it because it's fun, right? I do it because I get to rush and I get to like put my skills to use and it motivates me. Like I'm home right now, I'm feeling great. Like, oh look, I've got my Moto America shirt on. Like I go to the gym, dude. I feel so good. I've got my blender bottle now. Like I'm feeling awesome from doing it. So for me, it's like a drug, right? And I love it. I love meeting people. Chris, thank you for having me on the podcast. I love all this shit. But goddamn, it's a financial and technical nightmare to pull it off. And like, for example, earlier this year, and Andrew in some way, you know, is kind of like affected, but I dealt with an engine builder for my FCO7. Which I mean, I don't want to get into, you know, super into that in terms of like naming anyone or whatever yet, but I had a freaking nightmare, dude. I had to spend an extra $5,000 after basically I took it to an engine builder multiple times, and every time I got the bike, it keeps blowing up. Like I'm not stupid. Like I know what gas to put in my bike. I know how to warm up my bike, and I know how to ride my bike. Like I'm not. It shouldn't. If it's more difficult than that, then like you need to have a PhD to do this sport. So clearly not, right? So it's just I had nonstop problems, and you know, I got through it. And my first 2 rounds of racing this year was a nightmare. Unfortunately for Andrew, it happened so close to Moto America. I mean, that's like such a big bummer for him. I felt bad, you know, seeing him have to go through that.
I mean, me too. This comment right here is that's my son. Rossi says hi. So Rossi says hi to you two, gentlemen.
Oh, right on.
Like
hi,
I said, they're at the pool. So yeah, and they're obviously watching. So big shout out to my wife and my boy. I miss you guys.
Hi, Rossi.
Hi, Rossi.
I thought my boys enjoy. All right, hey man, Jules, it was an honor to have you on, buddy. And listen, so the first time I met Jules was in Texas earlier this year. It was the first time we met each other in real life, right? But man, what an honor our friendship's been since we got together, and he invited me on his podcast, and it's been a true honor, Chris and Andrew. And look where it's gotten us, right? So
right,
yeah, absolutely.
Dude.
Big shout out to him. Steve says hi, Rossi. That's awesome. So yeah, fellas. So Andrew, going to Texas. Obviously you're gonna have your bike ready, I hope, in tip top shape. And
right. Yeah, so I'm waiting right now because we definitely, I mean, if there's any, I definitely learned a lot of lessons this week. And actually we didn't even finish my last thought, but I was gonna say that the Saturday, Sunday ended up still being fun because we got to do the whole like fan walk thing in the hot pit, and you know, I had like all these like random like and outside of that, just like in the garages, you know, random people coming up to like meet me or take photos, and like little kids and stuff wanted to sit on the bike or like autograph their hat. Like that's like pretty cutesy stuff, you know, that you know you get like the real like pro racer experience. So you know, that's pretty cool to see all the fans and you know, just people loving the sport. So even though the situation kind of sucked, there's still like positives you can take away. So
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, and all those kids that wanted a picture with you and you gave the autographs, man, guess what? They're a huge fan and they'll never forget that. Andrew, they won't never forget that. They'll be like, my man's Andrew. Where's Andrew Gower at? I need to go see him. So,
yeah, that's crazy. I kind of remember that when I was a little kid. I went to NASCAR probably like 7 or 8 times with my dad when I was like, 10, 11, 12 years old. And I remember a couple of those moments, like meeting drivers and stuff. That was so cool. Because when you're like 12-year-old little boy, like cars and motorcycles are like the coolest thing, ever, right?
they still are.
Like, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess they still are. Now we just have more money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. You know, back then it was our parents spending the money, but now it's us spending the money. And you're right. You know, Chris hit on a very good, valid point too. You know, a lot of people don't realize how much this sport actually costs and what it does. And most of these riders don't get paid. So when they see Chris and Andrew out there in the pits walking around with their leathers on with all these sponsors and all that to help them out, you know, they're doing it for the love of the sport and not getting paid from it, you know, and it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of money and a lot of frustration, as Chris hinted on earlier. It's but you know, that's part of our sport, and we still love it. We still enjoy it and promote it and talk about it. And it's a wonderful thing, you know, and to get, you know, little kids involved at your early age at the races and they see another young kid riding it, just, you know, hey, daddy, I want a bike, you know, I want to go to the track. I want to do this. And who knows who they might turn into, you know, because of people like you, Andrew and Chris, that got your autograph and their picture, you know. That's amazing. It is. And I'm sure, listen, Andrew, I'm sure that feeling, man, what was that feeling like? And Chris, you're next. What was that feeling like for you when that happens to you, right? What's it like?
It's crazy. I felt very kind of like humbled actually. Just because I'm thinking like, like I'm so happy these little kids love the bike and whatever, and I'm thinking, well, I'm just some guy riding a motorcycle, like why do you guys even care? But it was like really like heartwarming. I don't know, it's kind of a unique feeling. Something about like just like how innocent kids are is like really special feeling.
Absolutely. Chris,
Yeah.
tell me about your experiences with it. How does that make you feel when you see a kid approach you and that smile and you feel that energy and that love? I mean, I know it, no matter what bad moments you have at the track, that right there alone is worth it.
You know, thank God for me. Again, the weekend went overall extremely well. So it was just icing on the cake. Last year, I did not participate in the fan walk because we were pitted like in like Zimbabwe, right? So it would have been like such just a nightmare for us, and we were tired and everything. But yeah, man, I did it, and I realized something. Like sometimes you get really like the closer you get to the sport, the more you know about it. Well, especially if you're the rider, right? Like in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I'm braking so early here. Oh man, you know, I'm doing a bad job here. I'm doing a bad job there, right? And okay, my bike, my this, my tire pressure. What's my this? But something that they tell you when you go to Moto America is they tell you this is not just a race weekend. This is a show, right? So that's very different. Club racing, yeah, you go to race and blow yourself up and beat your competitors. But Moto America, you go to race and blow yourself up and beat your competitors, but you're also putting on a show, and you need to like have kind of good PR with the fans. So yeah, I'm just sitting there. You know, our crew, we had an awesome crew last weekend. They brought out our bikes. We were sitting there. We were like in our little like Motion Pro chairs, and just like random people came up, and I'm like, oh, if only they know the crazy like doubts and worries that I have in my head, but they don't. They're just like, oh my God, cool racer guy. And sometimes it's good to take a step back from it and just realize that that's what the general populace, the 95, the billions of people in the world, not in the US. In the US, it seems like not as many people care, but like go to Thailand, go to Indonesia. Those guys, motorcycle is their life. It's their form of transportation. So they really love the two-wheeled sports.
Yeah, South America too.
South America, yeah.
It's amazing, man. And like I said, I couldn't imagine the feeling. Well, I do a little bit. When I went to Kodo, I actually had some shirts that I had sold for Pin to Gas. People were actually wearing them, and being like, oh my God, it's dude from Pin to Gas, and can I get a picture? And it was just, I was so humble, man. I didn't know what to say. All I was gonna do was grin and be like, absolutely, right, and just and have a conversation with them, and by doing what you guys are doing, man, you're building a bond and a relationship. And like I said, dude, those kids will never forget that ever. The next time that they come, man, they'll get your picture and a poster and they'll hang it up on their wall and yeah, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's great, man. I'm excited for you two to go to Texas. I wish I could make it and be there to cheer you boys on. Unfortunately, I can't. I'm going to Caldwell Park in August for the British Superbike race. So yes, I know. Sick. I can't wait, bro. And listen, It's all because of the podcast. We had Dave Neal on, which is he was a press officer for OMG Rich Energy Yamaha BSB team with Bradley Ray and Kyle Rod, and we had him on the podcast. And man, we've been really good mates. We call each other, text each other. He actually come to COTA this year, and we got to meet and exchange T-shirts. And yeah, he invited me, man. And so yeah, because of the podcast, dude, it's happening, right? So it's a true honor. It's just like it's a true honor to sit here with you two boys. It really is.
Likewise,
for sure.
Yeah, no, the honors are ours. We're just some dudes.
But to me, you're more just some dudes, man. You guys are fast motorcycle racers that put your lives on the line and spend every last cent you have, regardless, full-time job, paying all your other bills. I get it, man. I've been there, so I know listen, I look up to you guys, every single one of you guys. And yeah, it's an honor. It's my honor. And I appreciate it. I really do. So yeah, for sure. So listen, you guys' future, man. Texas, above Texas. What you guys plans for the rest of the year? Any more Moto America rounds or just AFM?
Wow, if we did Barber, that would be next level. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. I mean, ideally we were just millionaires, right?
Right.
We all are, right? We all
are. But normally we'd be racing probably in like a week in the AFM and then again in August. But I think for like 2 years at least now, maybe even 3, I'd have to go back and look at the schedule, but they haven't been doing a July AFM round for like a couple of years, just because like I think the turnouts were not that great with the heat. Californians, we're just like so spoiled with the weather. If it's not between 75 and 85 degrees, no one's gonna ride. And that was like already kind of starting the downward trend for like the last couple of years. I feel maybe even like 2020, because I know I've raced in July before. It's just it might have been a few years. But there's also no August round, which is kind of concerning to me. So we're almost like not really, in my opinion, having a full season. Like I feel like it should be like 7 rounds at least, maybe 8 rounds. And right. I think we really only have 5. They're counting it as 6 because the last round's going to be a double header. So we're racing Saturday and Sunday, which AFM has not done since, I don't know, they probably haven't done that since I was like in elementary school or something.
Right.
So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, we almost just, other than me, gonna be busy like fixing my bike, and I think when I come down to take the bike to Kawasaki, we'll probably like go ride at the kart track or do some like a F1 simulator or something to practice. But yeah, we don't have any races to do really, unless we went across the country. But
which is expensive.
Yeah, so it's not like really not like really a great sign for American road racing, sadly, especially like such a ancient, well, sorry, I shouldn't say ancient, but like long history, prestigious club like AFM. It kind of worries me that they're not really running a full calendar.
Yeah, that is discouraging. Hopefully they'll get it together. Did you guys ever ride with Dustin Cornier, my boy at Track Days?
Track Days. Yeah. I know Dustin decently well. I've seen him at the track probably 50 times by now. We raced with CRA, which he's no longer a part of, to my knowledge. Yeah. But we did do some races with CRA. That was actually my first time riding at Laguna Seca, I think, or definitely first time racing there. But yeah, I haven't even really been doing a lot of track dates. I mean, shout out to Carter's at the track. but I feel like this past year I've maybe done like one track day, maybe, and it was on a R6 that my buddy just had an extra seat, and this like friend didn't show up, so I just drove down to ride with him. You know what's funny is actually I could be at the track right now, and this sounds crazy that I turned down a like free track day and a free bike to ride, but it just didn't make sense to me to drive 4 hours down to Buttonwillow to ride, and it's 115 degrees today in Buttonwillow. That just sounds like torture.
Well, hey, it's an honor for you to be here.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that too.
Absolutely.
Plus, we have the podcast, which is, in my
Yeah.
opinion, more important than a track day.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. So,
but
Chris, you're next.
okay.
Go ahead, Andrew, and finish.
Oh, I was just gonna say part of the issues with like the AFM scheduling and CRA and track days, I was gonna say part of why I didn't ride any track days earlier in the year is that a lot of the track day companies and like AFM have been just getting their dates taken away from them or struggling to get dates because of the Laguna Seca construction. That because the track was closed for many months, all these other organizations and like really, powerful groups like Porsche, Ferrari with a lot of money, they basically just like bulldozered over the schedule at some of the other tracks like Buttonwillow and Thunder Hill, and they have way more money. So some of these smaller groups like the motorcycle track day groups are just getting their dates taken away. That way, a car track day group or like Ferrari or whatever can have their private test day. So that's, I think, part of the issue. So hopefully that will resolve for next year. We'll see.
I hope so. Yeah, I do. So, Chris, take it away.
What was the prompt again? What we're doing later this year?
No, like after Texas, what's your racing plans? Any more Moto America rounds, AFM?
Well, we're assuming we're still alive and haven't crashed in the
and haven't blown ourselves up.
Facts.
Well, for me personally, and I think really for both of us, the idea is to, at least for the next few years, right, continuously do the Laguna event, at least, right? It's our local Moto America event. But in terms of this year, yeah, it's pretty much just AFM and CRA. They claim that they have some Buttonwillow round coming up in September, October. So if that's the case, cool. I live close to that. I'd love to go race. Go-kart track is awesome. I think now we're kind of, just give it a few short months and we're in the off season. I'm not really too big of a fan of Chuckwalla. I don't really like the track, so I guess I wouldn't go to CVMA. I've done CVMA before, and it's fine, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just don't like the track.
The track is not amazing. It's a kind of a more basic, swoopy type of track. But I had a good experience racing there. Really, it's just like a logistical problem because both like kind of, I think, mentally, physically, financially, we kind of need that off season, just like most racing sports to have an off season for a reason.
Right.
You gotta, so like
save up the pennies,
right. Racing the whole year, and then now we're gonna go race the whole winter at another org. That's just like too much for us. And Chris hasn't gotten it. I've tried to get Chris into it, and he's gotten his dirt legs going. But I've been riding way more motocross in the off season too, and it is way cheaper. That's definitely part of it.
And that's good training too, right? So how else do you do both you guys train besides motocross, like valets or CRF 150Rs?
Well, I have my R3 that I take to the go-kart track, and take to the go-kart track like once a year. So I need to start doing that more often. Like my old Junior Cup bike, that's the plan, right? Is leave my van fully loaded in my driveway and just go, right?
Hop and go every weekend.
Yeah. That's kind of what I want to start doing now. Now that I have the, thank God I'm blessed with the ability to do that. Even car stuff is good too. Even though it's like not a motorcycle, it doesn't matter. Ken Hill, who I really like the way that he teaches.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Hill's like anything with wheels and brakes is all you need to learn. So sometimes I like going and like I do, esports like sim, although I haven't been doing it lately, but there's this place down here in LA where they hook you up with like the full-on sim. I just did it yesterday at Laguna in an AMG GT3 car. So I was like, cool. And thank God I went faster because I didn't just go pro race that to like go slower in the sim, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it for practice. Just for me, a lot of kart track. I know the dirt stuff is very good. I don't have a dirt bike, but I have done the Brian Bartlow Pro Camp twice.
Nice.
Well, really more like 1.5 times, but that was awesome. I did that earlier this year. That was sick.
I bet.
And now I have like a completely different understanding for like how the bikes work, and I can see where to start applying some of those techniques and that mindset into road racing. So that was awesome. I love that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely. I've never taken it. I grew up riding dirt bikes. I didn't never race them. It was just for fun. You know, me and my boys jump on, go out in the woods, blah 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 blah. I've been riding motorcycle. I got my motorcycle when I turned 16. I got my motorcycle license and bought a brand new ZX6R in 1996.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, rode it in the rain. Yeah, it didn't matter. Cold, 20 degrees outside. I'm bundled up. I'm doing it, right? Yeah, I'm doing it. Living the life, man, because it's a lifestyle. Motorcycles is a lifestyle, very much so, right?
Chris, I still have a 99 KX 125 that I just got running again. You probably remember those. You probably remember those bikes pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I do. I'm a bit older than you two. Yeah, listen, I'm 46 years old. So yeah, I've watched a lot of road racing and bike progressions from carburetors to fuel injections to fucking spaceships. What we got right now. I mean, let's just be honest, right? Yeah, I mean, it is, Chris. You get on a bike now, you got like you're looking at it, you're like, dude, this is more complex than my laptop. Right, and you got all these buttons and switches and rev limiters. I mean, just pit limiters and all this stuff, and you're like,
yeah. Oh, speaking of pit limiter, freaking, I got a speeding ticket at Moto America.
Did you?
I was like, dude, yeah. In Junior Cup, anyway. Total aside, but that just reminded me of it. In Junior Cup last year, they said no warnings, okay, but I got a warning because I sped, and I was like, okay. So I got a warning, and then this year, I guess they freaking remembered because, yeah, number 420, speeding, and then like, dude, within like 30 minutes, I got a fucking email, and it's like, oh, pay your fine, go on MS Reg and pay, and I'm like, god damn it, dude. So as you might imagine, I didn't speed after that. I kept the speed down.
Facts, dude. Dude, they're worse than the IRS, man. They're like, dude, you just did it 30 minutes. I need my money. That's crazy.
They're faster than the IRS. Yeah.
That's
they're
what
like,
I'm
okay,
saying.
do you want to compete with us again? Pay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
You want to go back out on track?
Brutal.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. Moto America has a very good memory. You would think, but they know they have your name, your number. They know exactly who you are,
and they know where you live, and they'll come for you.
Yeah, they do know where you live.
Yeah, actually, they do know.
They really do.
They do. Yeah. Yeah. So Chris, how did you get into motorcycles in the first place? Like your dad, your uncle, brother?
Sure. Like most people do, I'd say a combination of like, desire to experience something new, right? So like, you know how it's like the midlife crisis dads, they'll go and they'll get their yellow Corvette with the top down, right? So it was like kind of like something like that, right? So I was back in college. My dad used to ride bikes. My dad's a total daredevil, by the way. He's a pilot. He loves bikes. He loves fast cars. And he actually has type certifications to fly fighter jets. He can unironically fly. I have videos of my dad doing aerobatics. He's like all about that stuff. So I always had that kind of in the back of my mind, and I was interested in like cars and car track days and modifying cars and stuff. And then I was kind of just getting bored. I was like in college, and I was getting bored, and I was like, I need something like a sport that's kind of like exhilarating, something that kind of gets me out of the house a little bit. And that's when I said, screw it, let me go get my first bike. So I went down to Gilroy Motorcycle Center here in California. Near Santa Cruz, which is where I used to live because I went to university there. And I got my first bike, Ninja 300, and less than a year later, I did my first track day, and then a couple years later, racing, and then pro racing.
And here you are, dude. That's an awesome story, man. Journey. It's you started late. It reminds me of Troy Bayless, right? So nowadays, man, all the kids start out at 3 and 4 years old.
Oh yeah.
Back in my day when it snowed 10 feet and I had to walk to the school bus. Back then, you had people like Troy Bayless that didn't start professional racing until he was like 21 years old, and that's totally unheard of right now, right? It's you got to most everybody, like I said, they're these little mini me's right? With basically onesie leather suits on, and yeah, go out there and make it happen, which is awesome.
You see them at the kart track. You see their dads taking them to the kart track. They're young, they're tiny, they can like barely walk, and they're riding around. And I'm like, dude,
they're like 8 years old, and their dad's like screaming at them. Yeah, you see that stuff all the time.
I'm sure you do, right? But that, man, you know, I couldn't imagine being a kid and having my dad scream at me when I'm trying to concentrate and just learn, because that's what I'm doing. I'm learning. I don't know, right?
Well, I have many Little League baseball memories, so I got plenty of that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure. But you know, but it also makes it difficult on a kid to want to go back because he's not having fun. Because if I go with my dad, all I was going to do is scream at me, right? So I'd rather go with somebody else. Or
wait, we're supposed to be having fun.
right.
Yeah, exactly. We're supposed to. This is fun. Oh, this is not fun. So
I don't know.
Sometimes it doesn't feel fun.
Yeah. Sometimes it really isn't. But but you kind of need the lows to like really get the high. It's it sounds like you're a drug addict talking. But
it does, right? It does. Just one more. Yeah, just one more. But so Andrew, how did you get into motorcycles?
Well, my dad did ride motorcycles, which is probably a big thing most like racers would say. But so even from a really young age, when I was like 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, I started riding bicycles super young. Like right when I turned 3, I was already riding bicycle, and I was really into like the bicycle sports, like BMX and like a little bit skateboarding. That was like really popular, you know, in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And I really wanted a motorcycle, but my family definitely didn't have a lot of money back then. My dad was like a chief in the Navy, nuclear electrician, so you know, really wasn't a lot of money in the 90s. So we didn't really have the budget for me to have a motorcycle or anything. I did get to ride one for a little bit. I barely remember when I was like 5, 6, but I guess my mom was like really opposed to like the danger of motorcycle riding, so didn't have the bike. But I mean, I even remember playing like this old Sega Genesis video game when I was like, you know, 10, 11 years old. That was like a motorcycle racing game, and like stuff like that just like really made me just want to ride. And I really liked motorsports. NASCAR was the big one in the South when I was a kid, like South Carolina, Virginia. So it was mostly NASCAR I saw, but I did remember watching on the Speed Channel, if you remember the Speed Channel.
Speed Vision. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. The Speed Channel was big. And they had like F1, and actually not even so much F1, more IndyCar, but I remember IndyCar, especially like Mario Andretti, and seeing like AMA Superbike racing. Although as a little kid, I like didn't really understand what it was. I just saw, wow, those are some cool, really fast motorcycles. You know, I want one. But then, so I pretty much decided to put like any desire to ride on pause for a while. I was 18, right out of high school. Like 2 months after high school, I went to boot camp in the Navy. So I got a little bit of street riding experience. But it wasn't really until I got out to the Navy Reserve when I could really like start doing some track days, when I was like probably about like 22, I'd say. I think I was 22 when I did my first track day. And once I did that, I was hooked. I was like, I think within like my third track day, I was up to the A group on my ZX6R that I actually have now. I bought brand new. But then quickly I realized, like, what am I doing? Like, why did I just buy a 600? I barely have any street experience. And Steve Mandeville was my neighbor like 12 minutes down the street in Hayward, and I met him on like the Bay Area Forum. And at first I was thinking, like, who is this wacky old guy that looks like Gandalf?
Facts, dude. Yes, he does. That's awesome.
But I went to his place, and I saw like the trophies on the wall and all his motorcycle stuff, and he's had this ZX14 for like 20 years, and he like really opened my eyes to kind of like just the way I should go in certain things in riding. And he showed me this listing for a Ninja 250. This guy was retiring from racing, I guess. And he had the bike, the stands, the warmers, transponder. it was like everything you needed, like novice racer starter kit for $2,600.
Nice.
So I just went, bought it. I bought this garbage, horribly cheap generator that was super loud. Um, and
Everybody loves those.
and I just went and we kind of went in blind to AFM. I really didn't know anyone. I had met Jason Hahn's Shape 8 suspension my first track day, so I had a little bit of help from Jason. And Greg Spears from Spears Racing was also let me pit with him for like my first couple rounds, so I wasn't just like completely alone. And just from there, just like I kind of really got into it. I got the I tried racing the 600 again, but that was just too much of a jump from the 250. And then I got the 400, raced that. I thought, wow, we're doing like pretty well. Like, let's do Moto America. I think it was actually Chris's idea because he's like, like the max age is like 28, and I think I was 26 at the time. So I was like, because we thought it was like 24 or something. So I thought I was too old for Junior Cup, but no, FIM Moto 3 rules is 28. So signed up for Junior Cup, did that a couple times. That went way better than this year. Like, yeah, that went way better. I think I had like a 12th and 13th place finish last year, and that was a shock because we were expecting to be like back of like complete dead last or like really close to the back. So finishing 12th was like a really big confidence boost, and realizing that wow, like we can actually do this. It's possible against these guys with freaking semi trucks and $5 million budgets.
Right.
And now here we are, struggling in super sport.
Living the dream, right? Yeah, living the dream, man. But you know what? There's millions of people right now, or however many people that they would give anything to be in both of your guys' shoes, to just be able to do what you guys do, right? It's easy to watch somebody do it on TV versus actually learning to properly ride a motorcycle. Not get on a motorcycle, learn how to shift gears or go through a corner, but properly learn how to ride a motorcycle, right?
It's funny how you can see it on TV and think like that's easy, I can do that. I even think that when I watch like a Supercross, you see the guy hit like a pretty big triple, and when I say pretty big, a giant triple, but on TV, like it looks big, but it's not like the same perspective you get seeing it in real life. So you see him hit like a big triple, and I'm thinking, I could do that on a 450, right? Just
the motor does all the work. Yeah, the motor does it all for you.
All of it. So, all I gotta do is
and then
all I gotta do is pin the gas, and then I'll worry about it. Yeah,
right.
And then and then I get on my 250 at one of our local tracks, and I'm thinking, wow, these doubles are pretty big, and they're like not even close to the size of the pro track jump. So it's I guess that's just a testament to how good they are. I feel like a really top athlete, they make their sport look easy because it's just like effortless.
Absolutely, just like what I like soccer. It's one of the sports that I watch besides motorcycle racing and
football.
Yeah, football. Exactly, football. The real football, not the American pigskin, because we got it all messed up, right? That's not football. Yeah. And you watch like Neymar Jr., just whoever, man, play with the ball, Mbappe, and you're like, dude, I can go out here and do this, and you're like, nah, dude, absolutely. They make it look so easy. You're like, dude, how are they doing this? There's no way. Yeah,
dude. Even when they come out of retirement, it's like, oh, I haven't even kicked the ball in 20 years. Here we go, and like they just do some amazing shit.
And you're like,
right?
Yeah.
That's that's like Josh Hayes in Supersport. I knew he was older, but older than like us, but I didn't know he was 48, and he is just like flying on that bike in the Supersport class.
Look at Jeremy McWilliams. He's getting ready to turn 60. And he's racing still, baggers in the
Chris and I have talked about this. When you're Irish, it doesn't count. Those guys are just like
they're legends.
They're made of lead or iron or something. Like
absolutely legends.
I've met a lot of those guys since I started doing the road racing. Because we met a couple Irish British guys that were competitors there, and I started getting a few more like Irish, British, kind of like racing fans on my pages because of doing the TT. And you just see them, and they're all like, 40, 50, 60 years old and on their CBR 1000 RR, just wheeling around like no problem.
Yeah, right. This comment right here is from Brandon Turner. Can you guys see that comment too? Who actually did it?
Oh yeah, that one I can.
I can see Brandon. I can see Jason Doss. I put some chat, but I don't know if my chats are working or not.
That's because, like I said earlier, they actually joined through the Chris Simcoe's live link, and that's what it'll do. Their names will actually pop up with it too. So yeah, this question is hope to eventually. Yeah, I mean, so on average, how many track days do you guys usually do a year? I know it's something you kind of touched on earlier, Andrew. Well, it being specifically this year.
This year, well, I guess it depends what you count as a track day, because I've definitely done multiple days racing and practicing, and I've done a bunch of days of motocross. Like I've probably ridden motocross like more than 20 times this year, I would think. Maybe 25 times, 30 times. During the off season, I try to go about once a week lately. Now that I've been trying to be like more serious about riding, getting the seat time in. But I remember before I was racing and I was starting to kind of become like a track day junkie, I had a pretty good tech job working at Twitter as an analyst and like always had weekends off. So I think I was trying to ride like every month and like do a track day, or at least like every other month.
Nice. Chris.
For the past couple of years since I've started racing, just racing has been my track
time. The
goal,
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just I wasn't taking it as seriously as again, it's once you start having this, like when I first got into the sport, I was like, oh yeah, B group, that's it. I'm so happy at B group. Oh, A group, I'd love to go to A group. That would be amazing. And now I'm like, what? You're comparing me to a club racer? No, right? I'm just kidding, right? But because there's some extremely talented, amazing, fast club racers. But
absolutely.
Now that I'm getting into it more, well, yeah, I mean, kart track for me is going to be big. Kart track for me is going to be huge. I did do a lot of practice back when I was first kind of starting to quote unquote get good. I would go to the kart track on a weekly basis. That was what helped kickstart me into racing.
It's a lot more accessible. Not to cut Chris off, but one thing that's been happening with just like doing the track day is, one, other than like the cost of entry to tracks in general are getting really high, it's pretty easy to pay like $220 for a day, $200 for a day, which I think to a lot of people is a pretty good amount of money, right? Like some people don't even make $200 in one day. So that's one aspect. And then also just like brakes, tires, especially tires, just everything is going so fast now. And like as I'm starting to get to that kind of like next level and pace. And it's just, between the gas driving there, a set of tires, the track entrance,
the hotel, the food.
Well, yeah, we don't even do hotels.
Okay, we're sleeping in the truck. Yeah, sleeping in the truck. Yeah, okay,
yeah. I mean, we have done hotels before, but if the weather is any sort of acceptable, I'm just sleeping in the van at this point, because I don't know about where you're at, but even the most cheap garbage motels in California are usually like 70, 80 a night nowadays. Maybe if you're lucky, like 50, 60.
Dude, for Laguna last year, our hotel bill, and our hotel bill, and I think we didn't even have a room for like even everybody. Our hotel bill for 3 nights in the ghetto Salinas Motel 6, where it was like we were getting stabbed every time I walked up and down the stairs.
And they stole our clothes. They stole our crew members' clothes.
Yeah, they no joke stole out of one of the rooms, and like AC didn't work in any, like just total garbage, right? They wanted like $140 a night. If you're around the Laguna area, you get screwed. You get a shithole with piss on the floor for $150 a night. Yeah. But I mean, for like tax. Thunderhill, it's like $70-$80. For Buttonwillow, it's not that bad, $50-$60. But sleeping at the track, not only do you save money, you get to sleep in more. Like I get better sleep. Yeah, I just wake up. Okay, I'm here. I could just go turn on my tire warmers or do whatever it is I need to do. So I'm all about the van life now since I've recently converted.
Yeah, Chris has converted. It's taking a while.
That's I bet it's great though, because now he's got a big advantage, because he's got his own van, his own stuff. Just like he said, we touched on it earlier. I wake up, I go in my van, turn the key on, and boom, I go straight to the track, go to sleep, set up, blah 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 blah. Right, you're already there.
The tall roof van's amazing. So I guess we're trying to keep that whole like 90s 2000s like privateer in the white van like showing up at the track with some bikes in the back, because honestly looking around at Moto America, there's other guys that are just like driving their van and stuff, but
not many.
Like everyone's got money. It's tough, especially for like just like younger single guys. And yeah, especially like I didn't live with my dad. Like even if their parents aren't giving them money, like just a lot of these people, if they are younger, they live at home. Like they're doing something to like save money. And for some of us, we're just like working a lot to make it happen. So we're trying to, I guess, just I don't know, be those privateer guys, like do the best we can.
Yeah, that's working for corporate America sucks, right? It really does. it's yeah. So let me ask you this: the sponsors you guys do have, how do you go about getting your sponsorship to help you out with tires and leather suits and helmets? And meaning, I meant to ask Chris too. I want to hear how that new shark helmet went, because that's a sweet, beautiful helmet.
Oh yeah, the Darth Vader helmet.
Oh dude, I got that thing on an amazing deal from FC Moto. Have you guys familiar with FC Moto?
No.
It's a German website, but they have an American, English translated version.
Right.
And they were doing closeout on that model because that's not ECE 2206, it's 05. Yes. And so they're phasing that one out. They're basically re-releasing the same helmet, just like, I don't know, they just did the certification. Right. But it's an awesome helmet, beautiful helmet, comes in a beautiful nice bag. I scored it for like 600 some bucks. Yeah, awesome. Deal. And I look cooler in it too. So I was like, that was the main reason why I got it. It looks sick.
It's sick. Yeah, that's a sick helmet, man. I mean, Lorenzo wore that helmet before he retired. Scott Redding wears that helmet now. There's actually a lot of people that actually wear that helmet. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of kit for sure.
Maybe it made me go faster. I don't know. It has like a spoiler on the back.
I know. Same thing as this one right here. This is that Ralph one.
Oh heck yeah.
The FIM
it's pretty much just like that.
Yeah. No. The diffuser on the back is what they call it. No.
Sick.
So yeah, man. Yeah. So listen, do you plan on staying in the Twins Cup class, Chris, or do you plan on actually eventually going to a 600? The cost of it, I'm sure, is a lot more. Right?
No, you know what's funny? Super Sport is probably a little. I mean, you might use a few more tires, but dude, the bike I ride, it rips up tires like a 600. It makes 95 horsepower. Like, it's not a joke. It makes 50 pound-foot of torque. No, dude, the Twins class, Moto America has their classes backwards. This is just my opinion. Like, why should the Twins class, which is the second lowest class in the club, right, or in the organization,
right?
It's like a builder's class. I need to spend all these high compression pistons, this, that, and the other head work. Dude, why can't I just get on a bike that's reasonably stock and go ride? So no, it was a nightmare. I've spent on my bike this year, I've spent over like $15,000 on my bike just modding it, not including the price of the bike.
All the classes are like almost becoming builders classes now, other than Junior Cup and I guess Stock 1000, which I'm a little less familiar with. But then
because now
1000.
They just changed the rules for the R6 and the 600 class to have headwork now, right? Yeah. Moto
America. more. Well, they could do some sort of headwork before, but now it's like a full port polish.
Yeah,
like
so
full
cost of
head
that
job.
goes up. And I always said this. Chris is right, and I've said this many times before in the podcast, man. What Moto America is missing out on, and to help our sport grow, is we need a bone stock class. No exhaust, bone stock exhaust. The only thing you can change is your rear sets, your clip-ons, your front brake, your brake lines, of course. You know what I'm saying, and your suspension. Leave it bone stock. Bone stock. It'd be a entry level bike that you can get into.
Those classes. I heard about those classes, in times past in club racing, but it seems
it just
seems like in the last 20 years, it's gone more and more towards like open rule books. So.
Yeah, which obviously, as we all know all too well, with guys with the mucho dinero, Yeah, has a better bike, right? But that don't mean that they're faster than you guys that don't, right? On a more stock bike. But yeah, Chris, I mean, you're right. That's something we really need in our class is a whatever it is, right? Let's just take the new Ninja 400RR that just come out, right? Which I don't know, that wouldn't be a very good class because everybody's on the same bike, right? You kind of want to have like a Honda and a Yamaha in there too as well.
There would need to be like I don't think like stock exhaust would be like something possible because that's so minimal and so cheap to change.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
nothing,
true.
and there's like no risk with changing that.
No,
it's like
not.
oh, I put the wrong connecting rod on my bike. Oh well, it shot out and now my bike's exploded. Like stuff like exhaust is so minor.
It's really
gasket even is minor.
It's a motor and the electronics that like really does it.
Yeah.
Or for super sport, the quick change stuff. Because there's only 2 extended races in the whole calendar. So even if you're a full season rider, you're spending like $3,500, $4,000 to get those like quick change axle setups for the pit stops.
Expensive, yes.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So basically, it's like if you're a privateer, like you're screwed.
That's a big extra cost that nobody can really afford. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do it. I'm like, nah, you know what? I'll just change it myself. If I'm in the pits for 10 minutes, whatever, so be it.
Is that Steve? When I raced 250
yes.
Superbike, all the running bikes were completely illegal for the class.
Well, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Facts, right? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But yeah, so you're right.
I remember. I was gonna say I remember Junior Cup last year. In like practice or qualifying, we had like 4 or 5 people get disqualified for being like some sort of weight violation or other like rule violation. They were just disqualifying like half the grid for cheating.
Going around, you're disqualified and you're disqualified. You're cool and you're out. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's something we really badly need. Whatever the bike is or whatever, just very, very minimal, and don't change the rules. Keep it as simple as it can be to be most affordable, for people just making it into the sport, right? And trying. You two are a perfect example. Moto America also needs to find a better. I don't know how you really solve this issue. I'm sure there's a way, but the cost to go to these East Coast tracks, right? Which obviously there's not a lot of people that are racing the AFM out there now that can afford to do that.
Well, yeah, that's like a complex thing because it almost feels like they're kind of favoring the East Coast riders because of how they took away West Coast rounds for some of the classes like Junior Cup, Stock 1000. Yeah. But also, we just have a lot less races on the West Coast than there used to be, and it's for like both like financial, political, other reasons. But we used to have Utah at Miller, and which is still not super close. Like for Chris and me, I think it's probably somewhere between like 11 to like 14 hours driving realistically, maybe like 10 hours if you didn't stop and went 80 miles an hour the whole way. But even more close, we had Sonoma, Sears Point, and Willow Springs used to be an AMA race, probably a little bit longer ago. But so we used to have all these different rounds like just here because I mean California is a really big state. Just geographically, and like you look at the size, like if you were going all the way north to south, like that's bigger than a lot of countries in Europe.
Facts.
California.
Facts.
So we just don't have a lot of rounds to ride out here without going to more towards the Midwest or the East Coast. So.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, man. It really is. One thing I did meant to say earlier is my dad was a fighter pilot in the Navy, so I grew up in the military too as well. Flew off the aircraft just like Top Gun. That's where I got my need for speed because I used to go riding with him. He used to put me on his gas tank, and we'd be going around and be this little kid, blah blah blah. But what did you guys think of the repave at Laguna Seca?
Wow, it was fine. It was fine. I thought it was fine.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. So a lot of like some people complained, right? But it was in the beginning, it was like, oh my god, the surface. But it's like, no, the surface is okay. Like maybe if you're doing lap record pace, but guess what? They did do lap record pace.
Yeah, they did.
So like So another thing that really sucked that I missed was Thursday. There was a 50-minute open session for Super Sport that I didn't get to ride. So I really had just like no seat time compared to everyone else in the class. But they did a 50-minute session for Superbike and Super Sport each, to just help lay down some rubber and make the track green. But it seemed like by the middle of the day Friday, it seemed like traction was plenty, like for all the racers. Um, I would say that if you were off the racing line, you know, it was pretty slippery. There was that one rider in, I think it maybe Zaragoza in Super Sport. He got off the race line and something happened, but he just like high-sided randomly, almost straight up and down, just because he kind of got to the edge of the track and without having like cars there and just more races and more track days, there's not a lot of rubber. But that's just because it's green, and now that we've had the whole race weekend there, I think the track has plenty of grip. It was so smooth. It was for me. It almost felt like something was wrong at first because when you were dragging me on that surface, it was so fresh, so smooth that it just felt like it was like on glass with those Woodcraft Quickie pucks. They're already very smooth, and it just it felt insane. It really
Smooth
felt
like
kind of like
butter.
yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
just got to be how those world level European tracks feel. We're just like everything's so smooth, and just like so quality. It was
Well,
great.
I'll ask my mate Luke Power. He races in World Super Sport. Big shout out to him today. I meant to say earlier because he scored his first World Super Sport point today
Oh
at
wow,
Emolia.
wow,
Which big congratulations, Luke Power, dude. Take a bow,
wow.
mate. Yeah, absolutely mega job for sure. So yeah,
That's
I'll hit him up
crazy.
and ask him what the difference
And
is because he's
and
over there
then
doing it.
there
So.
there'll still be some guy, some street rider with a leader bike that says he's slow.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly, right? That's just it. Oh, I can do that. My bike makes 225 horsepower, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, whatever, right?
I
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
question for Chris.
Okay, go ahead, fire away.
So we were talking about like the cost to build the motors. Even in Super Sport, it's very expensive, but definitely Twins Cup, if you were gonna have like a top level motor, it's gonna cost so much money. Um, I wonder how Chris thinks the weekend would have went if he still had like his stock motor, original motor.
Well, the original motor made about like 65, 70 horsepower. The built motor made about 95 horsepower. How the weekend would have went, I maybe would have been like a second or two slower. I probably still wouldn't have been last place. The new motor definitely helps a lot, but you know,
30 horsepower is a
yeah,
lot.
that is a lot. That is a lot. But torque didn't increase that much, so like I don't know. I guess you could ride it like lower in the RPM range. I don't really know, but the bike definitely feels faster. But I've ridden before at Laguna on that bike with a horrible setup, and I still did a pretty decent time. Like for example, the time in qualifying that I did was 4 seconds off of the stock motor. So
Pretty
I
good,
mean,
yeah.
right, and not all 4 seconds is the power. I can promise you that
No,
because
yeah.
we made some big suspension changes that made the bike amazing. So maybe only 3 seconds of it was the power. So yeah, and also you have to build it because the new RS660 stock, you just stock emissions compliant. It's 88 wheel horsepower. It's on
Which is
Cycle World.
insane.
Big
Go on Cycle
difference.
World. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge difference, right? Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
I
Have you
need to
ever
make
ridden one
my
of
engine
those?
explodey. No.
No.
He said my engine exploding. I like it.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
with the pipe and the tune, it's like as faster than Chris's
Basically.
built. Yeah, but are they fragile? Those Aprilias, like, do they last all season on a stock motor? I wonder if they do.
From what I've seen, they are not that reliable. Maybe it's getting better now that COVID's kind of gone away for the last few years, but I know for a while they were really struggling to even get like replacement OEM parts for those bikes.
Well, that's
And,
Italy for you.
yeah, so you
No
got to
offense.
deal with you got to deal with the Italy stuff with like supply chain issues, but I'm sure that's gotten better by now.
Mamma mia.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you work with some of these European companies, especially the Italian companies, it can be that way. I remember I was a service writer at a dealer for a few months I just wanted to see what it would be like. that GV company that makes a lot of top cases and side cases
Mhm.
for bikes. I remember one time we were going out of stock on their stuff, and I guess like the whole company was just like on holiday for like a month or something. So it was like they're like, "Oh, we'll make all the replacement parts when we get back in a few weeks."
And you're like, wait, what? Yeah.
Right, right,
What kind of customer service is that? Like, we're just going to stop production and yeah, we'll holler at you in a month and a half. Okay.
Well,
Well, that's
it.
Italians for you.
It is for real. It really is.
Right.
It really is. So listen, I've never been there. Well, I've been there in 05 when MotoGP come back for the first year since 92 at Laguna, which was amazing. First time meeting Ross and get my helmet signed, all that good stuff, yada yada yada. But dude, as a fan of the sport and you guys being racers and me a fan of you guys too as well, man, what's the feeling like coming down the corkscrew, right? Me standing there always watching it, whether it was on TV or actually being there, I couldn't imagine. Is it like a roller coaster when it drops, like that stomach feeling, or what's it like?
It's a little bit like that. I wouldn't say it's like that huge stomach drop feeling. Like if you go on a giant roller coaster and you have a huge drop, it's not that bad. At least not for me. I won't speak for Chris, but for me, like it is a little bit of like that G-force like weight transfer feeling. So you do feel like a noticeable drop down, and it's kind of a good feeling if you get the line right, your speed's right, and the bike is turning well. It just kind of like flicks down to the right, and it's also not so much a feature of the turn itself, but the fact of like the corkscrew having a huge amount of the fans just standing there at the fence line watching you.
Right.
It's like almost a weird pressure as you're coming down mid corner because you can like see everyone staring at you in your peripheral vision. So you're like, well, I better not like crash right now.
I'm like, well, I hope I look fast.
Right.
Right.
I hope I look fast. So what's the feeling like for you, Chris, when you do it?
I mean, you know, we got to walk the track on Thursday, and I had never walked it before, despite the fact that I had raced there before. It looks crazier when you're watching. When you're actually riding, you know, the first couple times you go around it, yeah, it's a little bit kind of like, oh my God, because what track has that feature?
Right.
But when you're actually doing it, at least for me, it's a pretty straightforward turn. You know, I mean, obviously, I'm not the fastest guy in the world, but for me, it's one of the turns I'm pretty strong in. I always seem to get a good line through there, and it's always a nice safe corner for me. But it is pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, we actually have a really good picture. Go on Andrew's Facebook, look at his cover photo.
Yeah.
We have a great picture.
I will for sure. So on this app too, I need to learn how to do it. I can actually post videos and pictures up on here while we stream. I just hadn't actually sat down and played with it enough to learn how to do it, but which is another cool feature, right? So listen, I'm gonna ask you two gentlemen this one question. At your season so far right now, what is your biggest takeaway from your season right now?
Be richer.
I like it. Be richer.
Right. Yeah. Be a successful business owner. No, I mean, for the whole season. So my first answer, I would want to say like you just have to be really prepared, especially like pro. I mean, even for club racing, if you're like a serious club racer at the expert level, it's already like semi-pro at that point. Especially, I won't speak for every club, but in AFM, if you're racing any of the main classes like 600 or 1000 GP class, the top 5 to like 15 people in that class are already doing pro riding pace, depending on who shows up. So it's already like that serious. And then if you really want to do the show, like actual AMA Motor America and with the cameras and all of like the little kids and fans and stuff, like you have to be like to like the third power, like more prepared, more just ready with everything, which sadly part of that is just like having money or at least like some way to get support. But if we talked about really the whole season, I would say it's really like a commitment thing, like mentally, physically. I mean, even you could probably argue to some point like your social life and everything. Like if you really want to be like such like a top level pro rider, you're probably not going to be like just like partying and drinking all the time, like every weekend at the club or whatever. I mean, I know in like the 80s and 90s, like that was kind of the thing, but it really became more of like an athlete sport, I think, in the last 20 years. Um, so like you gotta commit your personal life. Obviously, financially is a big commitment. And like just taking the time to like train both like in the gym, whatever you want to do, bicycling, hiking, like there's a lot of ways to get exercise in. And then riding the bike, and there's just like so much you can do, track days. For me, motocross has been big for multiple reasons, like the fitness and the cross training. You can ride your supermoto, you can ride your mini motorbike, you can ride flat track. Like there's so many ways people train, but like you got to do something consistently. And I think, yeah, that's it. It's just like this sport takes a lot of commitment if you really want to do it.
Nice. Chris, what's your biggest takeaway moment of the year right now for you as your season went?
Same thing, primarily being prepared. Prepared mentally, prepared physically. Again, as Andrew just said, really making your entire year needs to be focused around motorcycle racing one way or another, right? Whether it's you're actually training on the bike or you're training and also doing physical, exercise. So like, for example, me, I'm in the worst shape of my life right now. Like, imagine how good I could do if I was ripped. What if I was super ripped and I went to the car track every day or every week, at least once a week on my R3?
Right.
Dude, I would do amazing. So like now, as I'm kind of maturing into this and as I'm like enjoying it more, right? The more success you have, the more you enjoy it.
Right.
At least for me. Now I'm like, dude, like I don't want to be a slob. Like I don't want to just play video games on the weekend. I know it's annoying to get in my van and drive 2 hours each way to the kart track, but I got to do it, right? It's annoying to wake up at 5 in the morning to go to the gym, but I got to do it because it'll pay off later. And that's something that I'm kind of starting to get in my head now. And I'm taking it more seriously now, or else, I mean, I wouldn't be on this podcast.
Yeah, facts, right? So, listen, playing video games, I'm a big gamer too. So, what do you play, Chris?
I mean, Andrew and I have been kind of playing similar games because we have Xbox Game Pass. I play on the PC. Right now, we're playing this game called Outer Worlds, which is made by the developers of Fallout. So it's like an open world RPG game. That one's a pretty great game, but we do some like racing stuff too. Like each of us has like a little like sim setup, and it, you know, it it's good training actually, even just on the basic sim that you can get for a couple $100.
Dude, I have no idea who this is.
Well, yeah, we're
Danny.
getting heckled by Danny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
She's a little bitter, I think.
It's okay. Everybody knows somebody that's bitter, right? So yeah, I got a PS5, and I got my buddy Andrew. I mean Avery and Jillian. They want me to play Ride 4 with them. So I actually got an Xbox S for free the other day. I actually need to plug. Yeah, I need to plug it up so I can get on there and we play Ride 4, right? But Ride 4 is not cross-platform, so
I don't think.
Oh.
I'll borrow my sister's Xbox. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
That'd be a lot of fun. We could all get us in there together. That'd be a mega
I don't know if I have Ride 4. I think I have Ride 3. I stopped getting. I remember the last MotoGP game I think we played was like 19 or 20. One of those.
Right.
But I don't know. They just didn't seem like that good of games. But I've heard pretty good things about Ride 4.
Yeah, Ride 4 is mega.
Yeah, apparently it's very good.
And they're getting ready to come out with Ride 5.
Hank Miller. That's so funny.
Yeah, Hank. Hank's awesome.
Twin says, "Oh yeah, he just sent me a message. He says he wants to mess around. He says he wants to mess around basically, but he'll behave. But no, Hank, come on, let's let loose."
Yeah. We would. Hey, man, we like talking trash. There ain't nothing wrong with
Twins
it.
is. Oh yeah. There's. we can definitely roll with the punches. I mean, that's part of. I mean, that's part of doing this. You have to put yourself out there.
That's it.
Both. I mean, there's guys that definitely are like very quiet in the paddock. They're not very outgoing. A lot of times they have less sponsorship because of that too, or like they're just self-funded completely, so they don't care. But But a big part of like getting sponsored, doing the pro racing is like you have to put yourself out there and like have some sort of following, because that's the reality of like what marketers and advertisers want to see nowadays. They want to see like those really big numbers in your metrics and analytics, almost more than like your performance.
It's crazy,
like,
Andrew.
and
You're
a lot of
right.
sports are
Yeah.
like that. A lot of sports
Yeah.
are like that. Like for example, super popular athlete, and not to say that she's not talented or anything, but like Haley Deegan, she's definitely, she's not like the #1 cup driver. I think she does like the Truck Series or the ARCA Series or something
Yeah.
like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah.
But she has a crazy following because she's a pretty girl, her family, and she makes good content. She knows how to work social media, and so she's got all these crazy brand deals that some other drivers, that might even be like faster, more proficient drivers, they don't get those type of deals because they don't have the eyeballs. And at the end of the day, it's getting people to see the product and then buy it and then make money for the company. So that's like what it comes down to, right? It's capitalism.
It is, and Hank Miller just made a good point, man. It's like the social media today within road racing or any sport at all is huge, right? Josh Herron's probably the best one doing it in Moto America right now is Josh, right?
Yeah, I think combined social, Josh is probably #1.
Yeah. With obviously we all know about that fine, right? He turned it around to help out the air fence and all that, which is great. But that just goes to show how powerful social media has a role to play in it, right?
Right. I've talked to Josh a couple times. I definitely wouldn't say I like know him that well personally, but he's if he's anything, he's smart at marketing. He knows how to like put a positive spin on something like really negative like that, and like do a greater good, even if I don't know like what his personality truly is, but he's smart at doing that, and he's smart at appealing to a wider audience.
Yes.
And I try to do that sometimes too. I haven't been very active lately in like making like videos, but even just like making like some informational videos that like regular street riders can use. I think stuff like that, like reaching out, is important if you want to be a popular rider and also like help keeping racing popular, because there's so many riders that probably like don't even know what Moto America is. You tell them that. I mean, older guys I meet, if you say like, oh, AMA Superbike, like they might understand that, but they don't even really know what Moto America is. So we need to just be smart about social media and like getting out there.
I think Moto America could also do a better job of advertising. That they could do a lot better job of promoting, right? And one thing I can't stand about all forms of road racing across whatever format it is, it's one of my only gripes is that during a battle like today's World Superbike race, I don't know if anybody watched it, right? It's like you get the front person catches the second person, whatever. It's a nice close battle. I don't want to give anything away, but then you get the #1's like 2-3 seconds ahead, and then you got #2, and then like a 7/10 back to 3, whatever. But the major battles going on 6th, 7th, 8th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Man, those guys are just slugging it out like a Moto 3 race, right? And dude, you don't hardly they'll go to it for a second, and then they go right back. And I understand it comes down to the getting paid and the sponsorships and all that, man. But it kind of makes it boring in a way for a true fan, because
it can be. It
like,
seems
come on,
a little
man.
hit or miss.
Yeah.
In Chris's race, I think they actually for a good amount of time showed that like 3rd to 6th battle, because there was like a big pack, like 3rd to 7th maybe. I don't really remember.
During Q1
qualifying.
Yeah, during Q1, and this was amazing. Like when I was like I saved it. I'm gonna frame a video. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna figure out how to frame a video.
Yeah. Chris got a whole lap in Q1. We were.
They got me for
like
like
he
2.5 minutes, and they were talking about me. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, Christian Maronian, oh, he's in the top 20," and I'm like, "Dude, like, typically they're not gonna care about someone who's like, 20 spots away from first, right, or whatever it is." But I was ecstatic.
Yeah, I would be too.
Like, that's awesome, dude.
But our sport needs to do more of that, right? Not first through 5th and 6th, even all classes, Junior Cup, Mini Moto, or whatever it is, right? They need to take time and at least go through the lineup, and not just on TV where it shows the grid, right? Because halftime they don't even show. They'll show everybody, and then that's it. You don't see nobody. You don't hear from 10th back basically at all. It's just a quick little hit or miss video. But to me, that's where all the great racing is, man, and that's why I love Junior Cup so much too, man. It's like I'm not saying everybody else don't do it, but man, those kids, dude, they put their whole hearts and everything into it. You see it, and you're just like, yes, it's the same thing, Chris. You do the same thing, Andrew. You do too, right? But something special about being a kid, being there and racing, right? Imagine, Chris, you being 12, 14 years old doing that, right? It's
you got no fear, right?
Yeah,
it's mega facts.
When I was 16, it's like I'd fall like off like a cliff and like
I
not
would
break any
too.
bones. Like you're like invincible when you're that young. We had some good comments. Serious question. Better spent in club. We're trying to make a cutoff in Moto America. I would say, well, first off, I think that's like two questions in one, really, because part of that hinges on like, can you make the cutoff? And I think that like if you don't know that you have a good chance of making the cutoff, then it's kind of a waste of time to show up. But if you're just on the cusp, you might just need to like put yourself out there and do it, right? Like sink or swim, so to speak. But if you know that you can comfortably make the cutoff, then yeah, I would 100% recommend doing Moto America, because a lot of the fixed costs of racing are already there, club or Moto America. Moto America, you have to pay a little bit more because, well, three main reasons, I think. One, you got to pay for like the crew and all those entries. That adds up, especially if you have to if you had to get hotel rooms in Lagunas at Seca or in Monterey, which luckily we didn't have to this time. Like Chris said, some of those rooms are like 180, 200 a night. So it's like if you've got to get 3 hotel rooms at $200 a night,
that's a big
expense. Oh my, right, that's a lot. Plus, like whatever your gas is, you have to run the VP Racing Fuels, was the MGP gas, which is
not
by
cheap.
The way also gone up in price.
Right? Yeah, not cheap, right?
I thought it was like $10 or $12 a gallon, but now it's I think at like 14, 15, something like that. Chris just bought a bunch.
Yeah, I just spent a lot of money. It was something
right.
Like that,
so the gas, the gas got more expensive. Club racing, you can run pump gas, which out here in California is still like $5 a gallon. But so other than like the gas and the crew and then the tires, like you got to get tires either way. One thing though is like I was surprised the tires actually cost more than I thought they would be. They have like a pre-negotiated discount with Dunlop, but just being very vague, I'll say that the discount paid through Dunlop at Moto America, the tires still cost significantly more than what my personal discount price is that I pay as a club racer with another brand. Well, Pirelli.
You can say it, Pirelli.
Yeah, I keep thinking, I'm still in like Moto America mode,
No,
and it's like they don't want you to say the cursed forbidden name at Moto America.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're very protective about
I know they are. I know they are.
So that was one thing different, but I mean, other than that, it's like you got to be there physically. You got to be there. Your bike's got to be there. So all those you need tire warmers, you need stands, you need electronics. Like you need people to help you. So like a lot of those costs are really all still the same. So and in some ways, it could even be cheaper because like for instance, racing in Laguna Seca, I think it was probably hundreds and hundreds of dollars cheaper total entry fee for the round as a Moto America rider, while it was like more than $750, I think, at CRA that year we did it. So it's almost more of a toss-up in price. Like I would say if you're on a shoestring budget, it might only cost you like $1,000 or like $2,000 more than like a club round, which it's still a lot of money, but it's not like that. It's not as much more as like some people might think it is, depending on how you do it. And definitely the experience is a lot better. Like I used to think club racing was fun, but then like once we had so much fun last year in Junior Cup, that was like a whole new level. And I mean, like one crazy thing was when one of my cousins, a pretty distant cousin that lives on the East Coast, he texted me And I mean, I like never talked to them. I probably hadn't heard from him in years. And he texted me and he said, like, someone at work recognized my name. They said, like, do you know Andrew Gower? And I was like really shocked by that. He said, oh yeah, I just saw him like racing on TV. And I was like, wow, that was kind of like a starstruck moment that like just some random dude saw a race like rebroadcast on TV or something and reached out to my cousin, distant cousin. So that was kind of crazy. We have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Brandon, I don't want to miss Brandon's. Which track's your favorite and why?
For both
Maybe
of you
Moto
guys,
America
yeah.
should do a feature on young riders local to the track that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I agree with
yeah.
that, Steve, 100%.
I mean, it would be nice. I know that they have only so much time they can talk about, but it is true. Moto America, in my opinion, really only shows like a few of the top guys, and like everyone else doesn't really get any attention.
Nope.
Um,
But it's like that across all formats of racing for the most part, right? Look, Isle of Man TT, for example. You know how many, you know, young kids and guys will, you know, and women that go there and race every year and put so thousands of pounds, right? Because they're pounds, thousands of pounds into it, right? That has no TV coverage, not one mention, no nothing. It's always the same. Peter Hickman, you know, Dunlop, Michael Dunlop. You got, you know, yada yada yada. Dean Harrison, John McGinnis. You know,
yeah, but every sport's like that. Like there's
exactly,
you know, there's some like NFL defensive end that no one hears about, but the guy still makes $1 million a year.
Right.
Let's see. So to answer Brandon's question. My favorite track I think I've ever ridden, it's like really hard to toss it up. Like both Barber, Laguna are in my mind, but I would say Sonoma Raceway. I feel Sonoma is one of the most technically challenging tracks that there is in the US. While being very fun, it's both like you both need the horsepower and you need like, you know, the quote rider's track. So it's just like just a big mix of everything. You have a lot of elevation change. You have the carousel turn, which is very famous. It's almost like how the corkscrew has a big elevation change, but it's much longer. It's got like everything in it. It's got that like really that last corner, that really like tight, almost like U-turn you have to make coming on the long straight, where you see the fast guys are almost like just backing it in a little to get the bike to turn. I mean, it's hard to top that. Sadly, right now, it really needs a repave, but I was able to ride it while the track was in a better shape. But if it wasn't Sonoma, I guess I take it back. Because Sonoma's current condition, I can't say it's a favorite, but probably Barber. Barber is just amazing facility-wise and just the track and everything. Barber's crazy.
Chris?
Yeah, Chris.
I do like Sonoma a lot as well. I've only ridden there a few times back when I was first getting into track days. I wish I could revisit it now with my increased skill set to really see like how it is. For me, in terms of, you know, I'm sure when I go see Coda, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, Coda is the best thing since sliced bread, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure. Just look at it on Google Maps, right? But you know what though? I don't like the track layout of Coda. Like I've played it a lot on the video game, and it's supposed to be super accurate or whatever. Yeah, I'm not really like a super mega big fan of it. I mean, maybe if I go ride it, I'll say otherwise. But I love the layout of Laguna. I think Laguna's layout is awesome. Like, yeah, it's an older facility. Had to go take a shower like on some campground somewhere, right? It's not like a pro place. Like, well, it is a pro place, but not pro by like 2023 standards. So yeah,
that's crazy. They're trying though.
Yeah, they are trying, and I love going there. I love the area it's in, Monterey and the mountains.
Oh, it's beautiful.
God.
Yeah,
it's very
ritzy.
I loved it.
It's ritzy. It's very ritzy.
I gotta say though, for me personally, because for me the layouts of tracks are very important. Like again, Chuckwalla, I am like afraid of leaning the motorcycle. So for me, like, I mean, obviously, I mean that's like kind of a joke, but at the same time, it's not. Like for me, Chuckwalla is like not super technical. It's a lot of like very like big swervy turns, and that's not to say that like someone who rides there is lower skill level or whatever. I mean, certainly not. But for me, it's just not as fun. I really like Button Willow 13 clockwise. I'm a mega fan of Button Willow, even though it's just more of like a amateur level track. I love the layout. It's so technical. but there's also the big swoopers. You kind of get a little bit of both. But for me, Laguna, number one right now is Laguna for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so my favorite track, and I've only ridden. Well, I raced at Firebird International Raceway when I was at Phoenix, going to MMI because I'm an MMI graduate. I've been in the motorcycle industry since I can't even remember, a long time. And VIR, those are the only two tracks I've ridden because I go down to VIR and do track days. Man, and I really like VIR. It's a great track. I hated that they took it off the calendar this year. In Moto America.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that they're going to put it back on next year. I'm not sure what the actual issue was, whether it was a calendar issue or money. I really don't know. And James, Christian hit on that earlier. It takes a lot of money to rent a track out, right? And if a car series is going to bring, hey, $100,000 plus more dollars, whatever it is, right? Of course, they're gonna take that over the smaller event every time. So yeah, I hope to see VR back on. So listen, do you guys watch any form of motorcycle racing, MotoGP, World Superbike, BSB, PT, any of that?
Never heard of it. I did watch the World Superbike highlights yesterday. For better for worse, lately I've been just watching a lot of highlights of the races. It's hard. Like, I just feel like I have so much going on, aka video games. So much going on where it's hard to or maybe we just all have like dumb ADHD brains now from like watching 10-second TikToks all day.
Right.
But it's hard to sit down and watch like an F1 race. We did what I remember I was at Kristen's house, we watched the full Monaco race and that was pretty exciting. That was cool, but it's hard to always get those really exciting good races. I'm not gonna lie, I've literally fallen asleep watching some Superbike or MotoGP races where it's okay, everyone's 3-second gap apart and there's been no lead change in 20 laps.
Yeah.
It's just that's not exciting. But BSB I've really never watched. Apparently you can get it on Facebook. Yeah, apparently that's great racing. World Superbike's been pretty good. Sometimes I like to watch Moto3 because that's really close, exciting racing. MotoGP has been getting better again, but it's also become the Ducati Cup. F1's been really exciting. I've even watched some pretty good NASCAR highlights, which is, of course, the crashes are always just spectacular in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So it's always fun to see 20 cars flying through there.
Yeah. I've never been a big fan of NASCAR, man. It's something I've never really got into, man. Formula One's okay. I watch it every once in a while. It's just boring, man. Let's just be honest.
What's funny is I mean, I get the whole F1's boring thing. It's funny. I kind of started not liking NASCAR at all after liking it as a kid. But then what's funny is getting back into a dirt track, flat track AFT racing and stuff, and then seeing NASCAR, and especially when NASCAR did the dirt race in LA, kind of like a flat track race. It kind of, I don't know, something about realizing that it was kind of a nostalgic American racing thing for me, where I realized that's that is American racing is oval track racing, whether we want to admit it or not. That is an American sport. So that kind of got me a little bit more back into it. But yeah, if you don't really follow the drivers and their long races, they're trying to do the whole stage racing thing to keep it closer and more exciting. I feel everyone's trying to make racing a little bit more exciting, just doing whatever they can. Or a World Superbike added in the Super Pole race sometime, so they have the 3 races to watch. MotoGP is trying to do the short sprint race too, and I think those have been exciting. Just the guys going balls out for 15 laps or whatever it is.
Facts. So I'm gonna ask both y'all this: if you could pick any rider to be a teammate and ride alongside, who would it be? Whatever class it is. Moto
Maronian.
Andrew Gawer would be my top choice.
Who would I ride with?
MotoGP, World Superbike, whatever, right? Masa, Yamaha, whoever it is. Who would be your number one, I guess your fanboy rider you would want to
ride with? Wow. Yep. That's hard because they're all too fast. to ride with.
Just pretend you're just as fast as they are. Who would it be? Mark Marquez,
okay.
Valentino Rossi, Kevin Schwantz. I mean, anybody. Eddie Lawson, Barry Sheen.
Oh, we can go to past.
Yeah, Guy Martin. Who would? Yeah.
Oh. You know, Eddie Lawson, steady Eddie Lawson. Him and Wayne Rainey are pretty close, tied to number one. But I really look up to him as a rider. He's just always like such a cool head. I mean, they call him Steady Eddie because he very rarely crashed. And I remember seeing an interview pretty recently where he talked about not worrying about the competition. You know, everyone else is going to do what they're going to do, so just ignore them and just focus on yourself. So as far as like how he rides, his like whole mindset to riding, I think he'd be super cool to like hang out with and ride with, especially, you know, if he was our age. Obviously, he's pretty old now, so it's not the same. But yeah, so Eddie Lawson.
Chris?
I agree with the commenter who just posted Barry Sheen, because they're all god tier riders. I probably would have very little in common with a lot of them, but Barry Sheen, known for his playboy lifestyle.
That's it.
Fuck yeah, man. We just go chase girls all day, just have fun.
That's why Chris rides with me, because
right, exactly. Yeah. So that's the current arrangement.
That's all.
I mean, we definitely have a little bit of extra fun doing those Mexican races.
Right? Yeah, right.
That's funny.
So the question from Hank Miller: rank the classes in Moto America from the best to the least excitable.
Twins number 1, Junior Cup number 2. I don't know, maybe Superbike somewhere down there.
You know, this year it's been a little bit closer in like being exciting. Superbike was getting so boring for a while. It's hard to say that, but I mean, at one point it was like Jake Gagne was just like 25-second gap like every race. It was just wasn't exciting to watch. Now that Cameron Bobby's back on another bike, and we have a couple other fast riders in Superbike. Superbike's been pretty exciting. Twins? I don't know. Yeah, that's really tough. My default to say would be Junior Cup as far as just like the most, because it's like Moto 3. The bikes are so similar. It's a lot more about the riders, so people are closer in pace. So probably just Junior Cup, but Twins is getting very competitive now that you have Rocco Landers and is Ben Glady? Is Ben Glady in Twins, or is he
Gus Rodeo?
Yeah, Gus Rodeo. There. Yeah.
Shout out to Hayden Schultz, my fellow buddy out there. He's also been killing it in Twins Cup.
I like the Junior Cup. That's my favorite in Moto America is the Junior Cup for sure, hands down. And then the Twins Cup class, because there are a lot. You guys are a lot like the Junior Cup, man. You guys show up and put in your all. And go ahead.
Hold on. Where's my flame suit? I need to put on.
Flame suit. Yeah, put it on. Go put it on, Andrew.
But I need a flame suit. Because I'm gonna say, at least this last round, the bagger races were pretty
amazing.
Exciting.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my god! So Tyler O'Hara, I kind of have to root for him. He's a local guy. He's from here in the North Bay, California, and he's also came up through AFM. He's just so good, right? He's great. I think he was AFM number 1 plate. Tyler O'Hara's a beast, and like he's like backing in the corkscrew, and just that first race Saturday, they were him and one of the Wymans, not Travis, not
Kyle,
Kyle Wyman, yeah, not Travis. But him and Kyle Wyman were just like dicing it up the whole race, and then that last lap, last corner, double crash into the gravel because they were just trying so hard. You could see he had the whole bike out of shape, and I was thinking, wow, he's probably not going to make the corner. And then he low sides, and then Kyle like crashing right behind him, kind of like fixating maybe,
probably
because they were just trying so hard to get that win. That was, whatever, stay baggers are gay and they suck and everything, but that was just. I mean, it doesn't really get closer than crashing into each other on the last corner. Like,
facts, man. It's and the Super Hooligan class is really fun to watch too.
You know, we watched their little B
main. The B main was awesome, right?
Yeah.
Even though, and you know, people are always gonna shit talk, right? But like, even though the guys in the B class are really not that fast, like, dude, we had a blast watching it. We were in the pits, like, oh my god, and it's
So
like,
exciting.
what?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And then like on the last lap, like one guy like couldn't shift, his like transmission was breaking, and then the other guy's like passing him on the straight.
It was a great race.
They were
It's
going
exciting.
crazy. Right, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
funny, like they may not be the fastest riders or the fastest bikes, but it was still exciting to watch. You know, as far as, and then he said most to least.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm going to put my own class, Super Sport, at least for this last round. I'm going to put that as the least watchable. I tried watching, even the highlights they were okay. I mean, there was some drama, like Josh Hayes basically lost the race because his pit stop was like 3 times longer than normal because they couldn't get the front wheel to go back in. But other than that, I heard someone make a comment that it was like, it looks like a track day out there. I don't know if that's fair to say, but with that extended race and like the difference between the privateers and like the top guys, it just like didn't really make for a very exciting race because we just ended up with these huge gaps. And you know, like the smaller teams like us trying to do the pit stops or like fighting for their life, like, well, you know, the top teams like flew in like NASCAR guys or something. I don't know. Like,
Formula
they
One,
had
gone.
right,
See ya.
right. Yeah, they had the F1 pit stop team. While the guys are like trying to put the spacers back in the wheel and get the tire on.
I need the grease to hold the spacer in. Where's it at? Yeah. Right. I need to grease that. Yeah.
Right. So that
Chris laughed. He's like, I've been there for sure. Me too. Right. Yeah.
Well, Chris has replaced my rear wheel before, so you're closer to reality than you think.
Oh yeah, I love changing wheels.
Oh, yeah.
So as far as extended format, yeah, I didn't think it was very watchable. I mean, maybe some people liked it. The concept of the endurance race sounded cool to me, but seeing like the brutality of it was was tough, and I mean, it's tough on the riders too. So I don't know.
So. And that's just added pressure, you know, to the non-professionals, especially doing that extended race, because they added a different element. Well, one thing I also would like to see back in Moto America, man, is different tires, man. Pirelli versus Dunlop, man. We need tire wars, man. Bridgestone, it's I understand Moto America has a contract with Dunlop and you know all that good stuff, but I mean, look at Moto 3 in Moto 2 in Moto GP now. They're going to Pirellis in Moto 3 and Moto 2, so they're doing away from the Dunlops.
Right, but they're also spec classes, and I think I just don't see the spec tire sort of thing going away because the organizations and the promoters they make too much money off those contracts, I assume.
They do. No, probably.
And just I don't know. It's sad to say that's just kind of how business has gone in the U.S. and most of the world. You know, whatever. Just it's all about the shareholder at the end of the day. So it's just making more profit.
I'm gonna ask y'all this question too, man. Who do you think is the most underrated rider in Moto America?
The most underrated rider?
Yep, in Moto America.
I think Hayden Schultz. He's super crazy fast. He puts on, as far as I know, pretty much a privateer effort, but he's still doing the full season. He's podiumed many times in twins. I think he's won, I'm pretty sure, but he's for sure podiumed many times. He's a super nice, genuine guy. I mean, shout out to him. Like he's tried to run some small businesses. He made some of those visor tags for my helmet. But I feel, I don't think he gets a lot of like attention or press time or media or whatever has. So I don't know. He's just like he's so good, but so I think he's a little underrated maybe.
What about in I mean, you said previously you don't really keep up with Moto 2 or Moto 3 or World Superbike or any of that, but who do you think the most underrated rider in Moto GP is right now?
I'm just gonna I don't know, almost just for the controversy, I'm gonna take Marc Marquez because it does seem like he's trying so hard on that bike to make it. My girlfriend's getting tired of us doing a 2-hour podcast. But I can't see your camera anymore.
Where did Chris go?
Yeah, where did Chris? Did we lose Chris?
Well, I momentarily stepped away to get a beverage. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Happy to still have you. We're going to talk about Medicare.
Yeah, did we lose Chris?
Where did he go?
I think we lost Chris. Wait.
Well, it's our show now.
Yeah, it's our show. Who's this guy? David Stoneham. Let's see. So an old fat guy is saying, has he suddenly started qualifying? Well, I don't see David on TV, so.
Well, owned.
Mesa.
David, try again next time.
You know, Mesa. Yeah, that's true. Stefano. Yeah, Stefano, I guess you could say he's kind of like up there with Hayden Schultz and being underrated. But I mean, I think people are starting to see more how good he is. Oh, Chris is back.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I had to. I had to go to the bathroom real quick. I was getting ready to.
Oh, okay.
Go on myself.
Yeah. So we were continuing the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, and you missed our heckler. I don't know. The guy's got the weirdest hat in his profile photo.
This guy right here.
Yeah, David
Stoneham. Why is Gawer even on this show? He has suddenly started qualifying. Yeah, absolutely, he qualifies. Yeah.
I don't know. He's just one of those like goldfish brain people, I think.
I mean, you man, it's just like anything, right? You always have your haters and people like that. Which, hey, man, it just you're doing what you're doing, and yeah, maybe they wish they could be as fast as you are.
Right. Yeah, we love that Christian Horner quote from F1.
It's awesome. Yeah. I like Christian Horner, man. He and that's my favorite team in F1 is the Red Bull team for sure.
Yeah, he says the higher you rise, the sharper the knives. He said that on the TV show, and yeah, I thought about it. It is true.
Yeah,
because I remember being like a novice racer, even like my first expert year. It's like everything's happy-go-lucky, but once you started like getting closer to the front in expert races, and like this is my third year in Moto America, all the crazy people like come out of the woodwork like all over you, like people you don't even know who they are, what their problem is, and one thing you said 5 years ago upset them or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But
I think people are nicer when you're close or reasonably similar in terms of your competence. So like, for example, someone who, let's say, used to be faster than you, right, might like shit talk you, like, oh haha, oh yeah, well I'm so fast, X, Y, or Z. It's like, okay, and then it's normal, right? I mean, there's going to be a plateau in skill level. That's how all humans are. It's like beginner gains. Ask Jules, right? You go to the gym, you work out your first year, you get huge, but then year 2 through 10 is like marginally better. So then next thing you know, you're as fast as that person. Then boom, they're nice to you. Like I've noticed that too. I go on Facebook and like people who like I've never talked to before, like, oh wow, great job, Chris, thank you. And it's like, I'm happy. I'm happy to. I mean, thank you for the compliment to everyone, right? Like, thank you. I'm so proud of myself, and I'm proud of those who helped me. But like, wait, where were you before I did that, right? Like, and then once you start going even higher, then they'll shit talk you even more. So it's like they momentarily don't shit talk you, and then it's like, oh, Marc Marquez, he only has 8 world championships. Oh, he's so garbage. He should just stop riding motorcycles. Like, wow, yeah, he's garbage.
Yeah, he's straight garbage. Okay, yeah,
must be a bad rider. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, you see those comments. Yeah, you see guys. No one's safe from that any sport, but especially like I'm in like this motocross supercross Facebook group, and yeah, you guys see like talking, or who's a good example, Kenny from supercross, Ken Roxon. man, people are like shit talking him. Oh, he keeps crashing. He hurt himself. He's done. He's never gonna race again. And then he came back this season to win a Supercross race. Like that was
It
crazy.
was
But
mental.
yeah, there's always the naysayers, and people they're just not happy with themselves, so they got to
And
go after you. So,
that's all it
but
is.
but that's fine. And what I've learned, or at least my experience, is I've tried to like turn that around to get better numbers, get better sponsorships, use their like negative attention to
Positives.
just do
Yeah,
better.
that's right.
Yeah.
I
You
agree.
had a question about getting sponsors that we
Yeah.
didn't talk about too much, but a lot of it's just like pounding pavement and like knocking on doors and stuff. But because of me doing super sport this weekend, even though in like a weird turn of events, even though it kind of was like felt like a crappy weekend, not being able to do the endurance race, a French company actually reached out to me on my Instagram and wanted to like work with me and do some sort of a deal that I've pretty much finalized with them. So I should in the next few weeks have a new suit. And I was gonna mention them in this podcast, but they haven't like really finished their American website. And then all the English hasn't been translated and everything, so they didn't wanna have like an American launch, and not look professional. So we're gonna wait a few weeks before I mention them.
Well, good.
But
I'm super excited to hear who it is.
yeah. So just by luck sometimes, you get the good with the bad. So now I've got this, crazy, like it's crazy that some like international or like European company is just going to reach out to me because they saw me do the pro event. That was wild.
So no more Anthem.
Right. So yeah, I guess we'll just talk about it now that you brought it up, because both Chris and I've been running in the Anthem gear for at least 2 seasons, I think, maybe even 2.5. Chris has been using them for like at least the last year. And we haven't like had any complaints really with like the quality of the gear. I really like my suit. I think it looks cool. It's protective. Chris crash tested his, and Chris probably damaged the pavement more than any
The suit.
damage that he received. I mean, there's probably like a dip in the track where you hit the
There's
ground.
an extra dip. There's 2 dips now.
So like the gear's been good, but just without like being too specific, I think that the owner is having a lot of issues in his personal life, and um, I'm not really sure what's going on with the business right now. So I just, I don't want to speculate on the internet on this like recorded podcast. But it just, I guess, as a decision for me as the racer moving forward, I was excited to just have another opportunity and just keep moving forward, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I've heard a lot of great things about Anthem. I've never personally owned an Anthem suit, so I can't really comment on that. But I've heard a lot of great things about them. You don't want to get new and exciting stuff, whether it's a new helmet sponsor, a ride at HJC or whatever it is, right? It's exciting to have somebody reach out to you and say, "Hey, try out our helmet. Do this, wear this. We'll give you whatever it is or discount. We'll just give you the helmets. Just go on social media and talk about it, wear it, whatever the case may be." So yeah, it's always exciting. Boots, gloves, same way, right? So did you guys use Alpine Star boots and Alpine Star gloves and just Anthem the suit, right?
For me, I use the Anthem gloves, but I have what brand is it? CD? I don't know. Off FC Moto, I like it. It's very
Anthem doesn't do boots. No sponsorship. I've just been using Alpine Star's boots and gloves for a little while. But this new French company does make gloves, so I'm sure I'll end up using a set of theirs. And I think they even have like some of the Stingray inserts and stuff, which is pretty interesting how strong that material is. So yeah, we'll see what happens over the next
couple weeks
or so.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear who it is. For sure. So Hank Miller has a question for Christian. grand piano, do you play?
Hank, thank you very much for your observant analysis of my background. However, that is just, oh wait, it's this direction. Hold on, where am I?
Yeah.
That is just it's just a virtual background. I'm actually just in a pretty small office. So, no, I do not play.
That's awesome. I was wondering the same thing. I was like, man, I wonder if that's a virtual back, because
dude, if this was my house,
yeah,
dude, I wouldn't be here like, oh yeah, racing's expensive. I'd be like, oh, my 10 B bikes in my garage.
Right,
yeah. No way, bro.
We'd be doing full season on the semi truck for
Facts,
sure.
Right?
If Brandon Turner is still in the chat, he's been in here for a while, but he might have left. I can't see. I was gonna say, he was talking about like him getting hope to like go faster. And I'm thinking I just need a day or two working with Brandon. With his experience, I'm sure we can get him to like the top of the A group in like 1 or 2 days. It's amazing how much some coaching or personal instruction can really help you. I mean, there's one guy that I was working with one-on-one that like barely knew how to ride, and I took him from not being able to ride to doing A group on a 650 twin in just under 1 year. So for someone like Brandon, I mean, a day or two to like just get all the fundamentals correct. I'm sure he's going to be probably faster than me. Yeah. He's going to be faster than me in like 2 days.
Right. So listen, fellas, man, what an honor, dude. We've been going at this for over 2 hours now. It don't even seem like it, right? It only seems like an hour. So, man, I'm gonna cut it. We're gonna get off here shortly. And first thing I want to say is again, man, big thank you for both you guys, Christian and Andrew, for coming on. It's such an honor to have both you on here. And again, I said it earlier to actually be your guys' friend and be able to do this, man. And I look forward to doing it again. I'll definitely have both you guys on. Absolutely. Again. So why don't you tell everybody how they can reach you and find you and your social media and all that good stuff.
For me, I'm primarily on Facebook. I do have a racing page, Christian Maronian number 959, which I actually need to update and start getting more active on that. You can primarily reach out to me through Facebook. My Instagram right now is private. I will probably make a separate one for racing.
Nice. And Andrew, how can everybody get in touch with you if they want some coaching? Brandon, if you're still on here, I hope you're listening.
For Brandon, definitely it would be on the house for sure. That guy is just he's really I feel like puts in a lot of effort in like organizing a lot of track and motorcycle stuff in the Texas region. But all my socials, I keep it pretty simple. It's just my name and my number. Usually it's Andrew Gawer or Andrew Gawer 25. So on like Facebook, I have my page. Instagram's the same. TikTok's the same. Andrew Gawer 25. LinkedIn, we're on there too. But yeah, so there's lots of ways you can find us.
Yeah, I could actually upload this to LinkedIn. So like I could actually add LinkedIn on here and it can go live on LinkedIn too, right? Which would be crazy. I don't know how that would work, but I might try it next podcast to see how it works, man. That'd be crazy, right? So yeah, listen, again, guys, dude, what an honor to have you on. Great time, great chat. Love hearing about, how you guys got into motorcycle racing and where you are today and your future. And I can't wait I'm a huge fan, obviously, as you already know. So we'll set this up again. Let's do it again.
Chris.
No, dude, you're very welcome, Chris. Thank you. Let's at the end of the season, when you guys are done, let's go back and do a recap of both your seasons together again.
On
the podcast.
That's been awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Listen, it's been a good one.
Yeah, it's an honor, man. It really is my honor, and I just want to say congratulations to my my fellow Australian mates, Boris, Tuggs, and Fredo for their 100th podcast on MotoPG. I don't know if you guys ever listen to them or follow them, but they are simply amazing. They're super funny, and I just want to say congratulate to them. And again, everybody that's watching and that listen, thank you so much for all your love and support, the likes, the shares, the comments. It means everything. It really does. again, thank you from the bottom of my heart, from me and Jules, everybody from here at Pin the Gas. It's an honor to be able to do this and have these two fast gentlemen on the podcast. And yeah, I can't wait to do it again. So yeah, I appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and cut it. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait for the next one. So we have another podcast this Tuesday coming up with Cameron Myers and Jamie Hampel. So it'll be live at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, everybody, please tune in and join in another mega podcast. So thanks, guys. Awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks. You're very welcome.
I'll see you.